This video will be about a story that was published in the Daily Mail that is the basis for the video title you're watching. This is the source because they won't name their source. It's the Daily Mail making an assertion. November 29th, the Daily Mail said they had an anonymous source that told them some things, and they reposted it. And I want you to notice that I'm breaking this down into a short paragraph. I'm going to do it faster at the end, but I'm going to dismantle it a little bit here. This insider source, I'm using both words they used in the article, said there are at least 2 completely intact things out of 9 apparent things. And that there was a system available that could see them and detect these things, even if they were trying not to be seen. And another source, when asked to confirm what the heck this guy was talking about, told the Daily Mail that the organization that this person was talking about involves operations of conventional retrieval missions, had been around since 2003. It's 20 years old approximately, and it's one of 9 science and technology offices out of the 56 other CIA offices, or the total of 56 CIA offices. So out of 56 subsections within the CIA, they have 9 that are science and technology offices of various subjects, and one of them is for conventional retrieval missions of things they're trying to get from places that it's hard to get them out of. Okay? And it's called the Office of Global Access, or OGA. Okay? Now, I'm going to review this a little bit more, but what other things they're finding? Again, over a 20-year period of time, 9 things have been found, and 2 of them are completely intact, and the rest are apparently not. That's the implication. None of these things are said in an absolute and clear way that's unambiguous. Everybody involved in this story has some way of backtracking or bullshitting. In fact, the sources keep being kind of swapped around instead of source A, source B, or we'll just call them, Sleepy Joe. Let's do that. Versus Woke Joe, or something. And there's multiple sources for the last assertion that the OGA does conventional retrieval missions. But apparently one of them said also UFOs. All right? Now, what is the buzzword that brought you to this video? Apparent non-human craft. That's the actual full thing they're using in the Daily Mail story. These are apparent non-human craft. And then for the headline, they say apparent non-human crash sites, which isn't what the source said. In the article on the Daily Mail's page, it doesn't say it was 9 crashes. But the word crash gets an immediate uptick on search engine reactions if you're trying to make the page show up faster. People don't look up craft, they look up crash. Also, the word tradecraft is used. You have to look up what tradecraft means, what it really means. Not that it's a trigger word that makes people froth at the mouth and start typing violently. Now I'm going to read this all the way through at the 3-minute and 50-second mark. Here we go. November 29th, 2023, the Daily Mail said an anonymous UFO program insider, implied not stated, source, said there are at least 2 completely intact out of 9 apparent non-human craft or crash sites, depending on what part of the article you're looking at. And a system can see cloaked vehicles. No explanation after that. And another source, or sources, briefed on the OGA's activities told the Daily Mail the OGA's operations involve conventional retrieval missions. Since 2003, the Office of Global Access, at 20 years old, is among 9 science and technology offices out of a total of 56 CIA offices. Now, when I say apparent non-human craft, or crafts, or crash sites, you know what a non-human craft is? A plane. If you're claiming a craft, an aircraft, well, they didn't say airplane. No, shut up. Aircraft. It's not a human aircraft. Because aircraft aren't humans. Humans can't fly that way. Humans can't be aircraft. Now, why am I making fun of how illogical this expression is? It was built, it sounds like an AI program made up this bullshit to get search engine ranking. No, it really does. Non-human craft is a pseudonym if you go through a language translator from, I suspect, French or Italian for unmanned aircraft. Oh, so there were 2 unmanned aircraft they could find, and out of 9 unmanned aircraft that were crashed or landed, 2 of them were recovered completely intact, probably because they landed, or they had a recovery chute. And they have systems that can see them when they're trying not to be seen because they're made out of plastic, balsa wood, etc. Yeah, that isn't very exciting. They're still in possession of some unidentified flying objects that were drones, unmanned craft, not non-human craft. That's an oxymoronic statement. It's an aircraft. We're implying it's an aircraft, so it's not a human aircraft because humans can't be aircraft. Now, why am I being so obnoxious about this? The person who originated this non-human craft statement, this is actually a pretty old one. This has been around for a while. It's a pseudo term created a long time ago by mistranslating a report that was originally in that language saying unmanned aircraft or unmanned craft. There's also an example of it for an unmanned boat, but it was called a craft. They didn't know what kind of craft it was. It could have been a boat. It was floaty, so it could have been an airplane or a boat. They just knew it was a craft of some kind. It's an unmanned drone. Now, why am I doing a poo-poo of this? It's my fucking job in life. That's what I do. I look at bullshit and say, it's bullshit. The Daily Mail is not necessarily required to be clear about stuff, but when in their own article they say it was a crash site, apparent non-human crash sites in the headline, and it's not used in the frickin' wording of it except to explain that these were landings, crashes, or forced down. And again, the OGA has been around since 2003. So in the last 20 years, they have, out of everything else that's been knocked out of the sky by the CIA, including maybe one of your toy planes, they have 9 they can't identify anything about. But they were able to detect them through cloaking measures. The way you cloak a drone is make it to where it doesn't show up on radar. So that means they picked it up by looking at it. Yes, that's how you actually get these things out of the air now, because they're usually made out of stuff you can't track on radar. And because they're electric powered, they don't produce any heat because they're not using a little gas engine. And a lot of them can glide, and they're AI driven, so they can actually stabilize like a human being flying like someone flying a glider. So what we have here is probably okay, here we go. If something got into air, they're saying it's from all over the world, so it's not a threat to the United States. So these could be from other countries, and they've been asked to analyze them. It's a science and technology outfit supposed to analyze them. And they're a secretive organization because they're in the CIA. Oh, that's a surprise. So I'm going to take a stab at this. Loitering aircraft. If you're not aware of it, this is something that you launch, and it just stays in the air for sometimes hours or days. And it just flies in circles. It's an observation device. What it does is it flies very slowly and very high and very stable on the air currents in an area, and it tries to compensate for everything because it has just enough brains to be a smartphone, basically. And the only shielding on it and the only thing that can be picked up is a little copper-clad sheet coating on it to keep it from emitting too much noise. They're very hard to pick up on radar, so they're technically radar cloaked and radio frequency cloaked. And they fly around and loiter in the air and then land at a prescribed location. And you know who else uses those besides, governments? Every drug cartel in every part of the world. Because they observe an area to observe the cops. A lot like the cops use the same equipment to observe the criminals. So let's review. A source who won't identify themselves tells a news source, Daily Mail, that didn't fact check and actually fucked with the title, that he knows that they have 9 of these after 20 years, really it should be larger, of things they can't identify, but they weren't manned aircraft. but they're going to call them in this apparent non-human craft because that'll get page views, and crash site because that gets page views. That's very obvious. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. Yes, it's bupkis, and yes, it's as infuriating as it sounds like my voice is making, because it's another person who won't define what they mean by non-human when they just mean unmanned aircraft. And in this case, it's probably drones, and it sounds like the 9 unidentified loitering craft that were found over Europe. These were observation drones released by the Russians that crashed, and the Russians refused to identify them, and they were unmarked. And they were made in, guess where? Iran. It's the same shit, different day. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.